Well, this is going to be a unique series of videos, if I say so myself, because we're going to be looking into a different module of the English language paper conducted by Pearson Edexcel International GCSE. And this is going to be the English language. Well, that didn't work out well. A. Okay. So this is, I should say this, I should clarify. This is not a compulsory, mandatory module for candidates. This is like an optional module, and it is somewhat difficult compared to the normal English language B examination. So this is unique. I'm going to be going through the specification in a different video. I'll make one separately for that, going through the object assessment objectives and all that sort of stuff. In this particular video, we will try our best to go through question 1 and 2 because, as you can see, 1 is kind of easy. You got that normal, simple retrieval question style. But as you can see, your questions are kind of lengthy, right? So question 2 and 3 are kind of lengthy. I'll go through the question pattern in the separate video that we're going to be making, but we'll see how many we can solve, and I'll upload these videos in sections, and then we can make it a playlist. And shout out to PMT for this beautiful paper. Shout out to them. They've been great help. I use this website for my own GCSEs and A levels. They're great. Okay, so let's go to the text. Enough yapping. Wait, let's first read the question. Um, okay, the following questions are based on text 1 and text 2 in the extract booklet. Text 1, survival at sea. From lines 3 to 5, select 2 words or phrases that describe the boat journey. 2 words or phrases that describe the boat journey. And the lines were 3 and 5, 3 to 5. So our objective is 1, 2, 3 to 5. This is where our answer for question 1 lies. We hired a boat to make the 10-hour journey. So this is the first thing we see, that the journey was 10 hours. That's our point. 10-hour journey across a perilous stretch of water, more than 100 nautical miles. Now, 100 nautical miles is quite a lot. Okay, so that's another thing we can talk about. Okay, and if you should know this, you should know these words. Perilous means, how do you say it? It's like full of danger. Okay, risky, hazardous. Okay, so we got our 2 answers. These are the 2 things. It was a 10-hour journey, and the um the journey was more than 100 nautical miles. So let's write these down. So it was a 10-hour journey. Now my handwriting is revealed. Journey, and it was 100, or I should say more than 100 nautical miles. You can write that in full form. That's wrong. In physics, that's nanometers. Nautical miles. Nautical miles. Okay, that's question 1. Okay, we should go to question 2. Okay, look again at lines 16 to 24. Okay, you should do something. Let's read the whole thing together, see what's going on, and then we're gonna do the question thing. Okay. In this extract, the writer Brett um, Archibald, I think I don't even know how to pronounce it, describes how after falling overboard into the Indian Ocean, he survived for 29 hours in the sea. Wow. Okay, this is quite the adventure. It was meant to be a wonderful holiday. 10 old friends going surfing off the beaches of the Mentawai Island, which have some of the best waves on the planet. We had hired a boat to make the 10-hour journey across the perilous stretch of water, more than 100 nautical miles wide. It felt like a real adventure, particularly when we sailed straight into the storm. Okay, so it's just scary. You shouldn't be sailing into a storm, and that should not feel like an adventure, but oh well. I awoke abruptly at 1:30 a.m. to the pounding of the boat as it crashed into massive swells. And the retching began. Wow. Okay. Helped along the um, helped along the dodgy pizza I'd had for dinner. I remember feeling dizzy as I looked down at the white water, churning white water. So we see some alliteration going on, but those are not really things we're going to be talking about. Let's just write it down. White water churning beneath me. Okay, the next thing I knew, I was somersaulting, tumbling, as if I were in a washing machine. Ah, okay. So he's now using a simile to kind of describe um, the whole scenario, how he felt when in the boat. Um, and we should know these words. Tumbling kind of means like falling over. Somersaulting means to turn completely over, like like going 360 in the air with your feet going over your head, like kind of like in that scenario. My head filled with a roaring sound. Walls of water rose. Where's my laser pen? Walls of water rose from the surrounding darkness to swamp my face, flood my nose, and wash down my throat. I was in the ocean, perhaps 30 miles ahead, 30 meters ahead. Our boat, the Nagalot, I think that's how you pronounce it, was moving slowly away. I could hear the boat's diesel engine grinding against the roar of the wind. Hey! I screamed, hey, hey, hey! But the sound was stolen away by the waves. So the waves were dangerous, such that it sabotaged the writer's voice. Waves, wind, and rain. So all of these were working in unison to take the writer's voice away, to kind of not let the writer's voice reach the boat. It's kind of giving me Nemo vibes here. That one part where Marlin or that clownfish, the Dan clownfish, was chasing the boat. Whatever. No one had seen me fall. Oh man, that's probably him. Like, who knows? 2:30 a.m. Wednesday, 17 April 2013. You should be feeling fear. Brett, panic. Brett, you should be feeling fear. Brett, panic. But I don't feel anything. Am I in shock? He's talking to himself. So this part is a monologue. Okay? This part here is monologue. So he's talking to himself. It's like saying, say your name is Bob. You should be feeling scared, Bob. I'm saying this to myself. So this is kind of like, why is he doing this? He's talking to himself, perhaps to kind of forget the danger scenario he's in. And now we see, what, 3 hours or 2 hours? You do the math. The third hour, yeah, 3 hours passed. And oh, we didn't read it. Suddenly, I'm laughing uncontrollably, hysterically at the hopeless absurdity of my situation. Yep, I was right. He is mocking himself. He is pitying himself. You know, this shows like when you're being sarcastic at your own situation. This deprecating tone, this deprecating nature. You're mocking your own hopeless situation. This is one of those human emotions where sadness is grieving. You shroud that sadness with this fake happiness, you fake euphoria to kind of make fun of the state, and this is what he's doing. Time crawls by. Is drowning painful? He's asking the question. Now he's thinking about life or death. I should change colors, should I not? I think I should. How do you change colors? So he's lamenting. He's lamenting on life. Is drowning painful? Will there be a white light? Some miracle, perhaps? I don't want to be alone. Vulnerability. The writer is showing vulnerability over here. So he is trying to act tough, right? He's trying his best to act tough, but we see that he is vulnerable. Vulnerability. Ability. Ability. So he's trying to act tough, but we see his vulnerability is palpable. I picture the guys on the boat. In a worst case scenario, they'll get to port, discover I'm missing. This is some sort of humor. Well, of course, they will find out at some point. Well, they don't have to go to the port. Probably they're going to go to his room, his cabin, and then they'll notice that poor Brett is not there. Turn the boat around and sail back. 14 hours at a pinch. Hang on, Brett. The boys will be back. Now he's reassuring himself. This is reassuring. Okay? Okay. And look at this. He's counting. He's counting his, days and hours. Not days, hours. The seventh hour. The winds blow, insanity, uh, incessantly, roaring like a cheering stadium crowd, heard from a distance. So he's going nuts. Every minute or so, I have to inhale and swim through the waves' booming curl. Okay, we've come up to 25. That's fine. Now let's go back to over here. So I think they asked us. We have a vague idea. Look again at lines 16 to 24. In your own words, explain what the writer is thinking and feeling. 16 and 24. So we are over here. Yeah, 16 and 24. So these are what we have found out. Now, let's use this to jot down our thoughts. Okay. And then we'll write this down in our actual answer. Okay. We see a conflicting emotion. Conflicting emotion in Brett. Why? We see that he's he's having this hard time, kind of he's confused. That should I be afraid? Like he wants to feel afraid, but then he says, I don't feel anything. He's just having this weird thought. He's laughing for a moment, we see him laughing hysterically, then we see him talking to himself. Something's happening, right? And he's wondering the state of shock, the state of the scale of the whole scenario, right? And we see that the writer is laughing at himself, laughing at his dire situation, which reflects in a. This is like his last call of. This is how do you put this into words? This is like when somebody laughs at a situation where there is no apparent solution. That is a call of helplessness. That's showing the helpless, vulnerable side of the writer. And another thing you should notice is that when when this should be right, we see him counting time, and at a time like this, time feels as if it's going slowly. So time has frozen for him, and that we shouldn't go down there because that's not um, within our range. So there are so many things we can write. So one of the things we can say is, I'm gonna write the points and I'm probably gonna refine them in your own words. That Brett Brett is seen having what? Conflicting emotions. That is a point. Brett is seen having conflicting emotions. As we see him juggling between fear, panic, and confusion. Okay? So as we see him juggling between fear, panic, and confusion, you could refine this, definitely, you can refine it. I'm just saying the point. We see him juggling between these emotions. And he seems to lament on the scale of the situation. What's the evidence? We see him asking or we see him in this with this monologue where he's asking himself, is it painful to drown? Will there be a white light? I don't want to be alone. This is a sign of vulnerability. We see his vulnerable nature. And, okay, so yeah, there's so many things to write. This is good. It's getting me excited. This is exhilarating. Get excited. Dr. Stone reference. Okay, lament on the scale of the situation. That's the first thing we see. And um, as he seems to lament on the scale of the situation, I'm thinking, and he seems to lament on the scale of the situation, asking questions to himself. Questions to himself, such as, what was the question? Does it hurt? Is drowning painful? Is drowning painful? Why would somebody ask that question? Is drowning painful? This question reflects how Brett has already embraced, or I should say, drowning has already accepted fate. Yet again, he yet again um, reflects how Brett has already accepted fate. Yet again, he displays vulnerability. Or should we say that? Yet again, we see that Brett displays a helpless, a helpless. Yet again, Brett displays a to helpless call of not wanting to be alone. Right? That this is something we can say definitely. He displays a helpless call of not wanting to be alone, as the fear of dying, as the fear of dying haunts him while he is struggling to stay alive. Okay? Stay alive. Give me a moment. Apologies. To stay alive. Okay. Um, but again, this contrasts, or this juxtaposes his question of how death tastes. how death might taste like. Might taste like. Right? So let's review it, and we're going to change it again and again. Brett is seen having a conflicting of emotions, having conflicting emotions as we see him juggling between fear, panic, and confusion. He seems to lament on the scale of the situation, asking questions to himself such as, is drowning painful? Is drowning painful? This question reflects how Brett has already accepted fate. Yet again, he displays a helpless call of not wanting to be alone, as the fear of dying haunts him while he's struggling to stay alive. Stay alive. We should make this a little bit better. We could say, while he is fighting, while he is fighting his way out, fighting the merciless wave and harsh rain. But again, this juxtaposes his question of how death might taste like, again showing his hapeless nature, hapeless state. So much as he starts pitying himself and mocks how ridiculous he looked by laughing hysterically, hysterically, implying how his emotions, how his emotions fluctuated, fluctuated in this dire state, in that um, fluctuated in that um, dire state. Okay. The last we can add is that you could just add that like that. You could say that explain how the writer is thinking and feeling. For him, time seemed to have seemed to have slowed down as he is constantly counting every second and hoping that his friends would notice his absence back in the boat, absence, and change course to rescue him. And and we see him reassuring himself, reassuring, whatever the spelling is, reassuring himself, saying, what was it? The boys will come back, something like that. He said, right? Where was it? The boys will be back. The boys, kind of like that Homelander thing, saying that the boys will be back. So this question will award you for just writing at least 4 points, 4 or 5 points from the text, and just describing it in your own words. Okay? So let's review it. Brett, it's the, and again, you could refine this to, you can make this perfect. This is not the best answer, probably. Um, and I probably won't be able to write a really good answer right now because my head's just done after taking too many classes. But Some of you requested me to make this, so I'm doing this today. But hopefully, we'll we will cook with the next answers. Brett is seen having conflicting emotions as we see him juggling between fear, panic, and confusion. He seems to lament on the scale of the situation, asking questions to him, scale of the situation, asking questions to himself, such as, is drowning painful? This question reflects on how Brett has already accepted fate. Yet again, he displays a helpless call of not wanting to be alone, as the fear of dying haunts him while he's fighting the merciless wave and harsh rain. But again, this juxtaposes his question. You could have done this a better. We could have done this a better job. We could have been kind of like put it over here so it goes with the question. His question of how death might taste like, again showing his helpless state. Helpless, not helpless. So much as he starts pitying himself and mocks how ridiculous he looked by ridiculous, not he looked ridiculous. The whole thing was ridiculous. The whole thing was okay. Was by laughing hysterically at himself, implying how his emotions fluctuated in that how his emotions reached the pinnacle. Like the there is a saying, the pinnacle of sadness is laughing, and the pinnacle of happiness is crying. And you could imply this over here. When people are very sad and they are like, there is nothing more to do, they laugh at that situation. And when you are extremely happy, burst with euphoria, the most natural response is to tear up. And we see him, he has accepted fate, he's going to die. He's not gonna start crying, he starts laughing, bursting out in laughter. That is the pinnacle of sadness. And you should imply this. We could imply this. That you could say something like laughing. But you don't have to go so deep. It's just 4 marks. You could say that laughing is the pinnacle of sadness, which has been displayed by the writer. For him, time seemed to have slowed down as he's constantly counting seconds and minutes or whatever, and hoping that his friends would notice his absence and change course to rescue him. And we see too many ants, we see him reassuring himself, saying that the boys will be back. Poor Brett. Well, that concludes question 2. And we will do question 3 in the upcoming videos. We're going to make this a whole playlist. And we'll see how that works out.